So, mate, this is your third episode.
Yeah.
Gotta say, welcome back.
It's nice to be back. Post-pandemic as well.
Yeah. God, I'm so glad we're also recording this episode together.
Yeah.
We're in the same room. Because the last one, it was still fun, but it was...
No lag, no what's it called, like, awkward, like, hey, oh, ah, oh, ah, ah, ah. Yeah, don't want to have to worry about the Wi-Fi cutting out in between as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus it's just nice to see you again.
Yeah, what's it called? I can actually touch your face.
Okay, so yeah, we've got you back for another episode and almost capping off a trilogy here. This will be your third episode overall, and also your third episode discussing Marvel. And yeah, I'd like to treat this episode as something that should be quite fun, somewhat predicting, I guess, based off our little knowledge that we have about Marvel and such. In my opinion, it might not be in the best position right now, but a hope has been rekindled in me because of seeing the new Guardians movie. And because of that, I want to look forward to the future and see what could be coming up that could hold more promise for us fans. So we're going to look at Phase 5 and 6 and just have a bit of a chat about it.
Yeah.
So for you, Don, coming up, is there an installment or phase film you're looking forward to in Phase 5?
Mostly, I'm looking forward to Blade, just because I think that it would be going back to the first in the sort of new generation of, well, it's not first, it's the first in the next new generation after like the Lou Ferrigno Hulks and like the weird Thor movie that came out way before. Like, it's a starting back of, or at least a harkening back to a character that we liked and loved, what's it called, before, and trying to see if it's going to be as good as we remember it. And I'm really hoping it will be, especially after like the writing bits that have come out about it. But that Blade is definitely one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. What about you?
Blade, that's really interesting. It's interesting for me because, you know, seeing the original one from the 90s with Wesley Snipes, the concept of a vampire hunter in the Marvel universe is awesome. And there's so much cool, considering Marvel's family-friendly track record, it would be nice if they tried to embrace a more horror, mature-esque theme.
The darkness that was always there, but like we've been kind of not paying attention to almost.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of potential you could do with a story like that, especially in a world that has aliens and alternative dimensions and superheroes. And it is concerning, considering all the rumours of rewrites, bad scripts, alleged pitches that were disapproved because of stupid decision makings on the writers' parts. It's all up in the air at the moment if that's even true or not. But what is known is that the film's been delayed several times. They fired the director at one point because he was disagreeing with the vision that they had with Marvel and such. So there's a lot of concern, but I want to hold our hope that it can be a good movie. Maybe it can even break the curse per se of bad films. Kind of like how Guardians did for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, we're definitely hoping that like the trend of Guardians going forward will be the trend that's going to kind of keep going throughout the Marvel franchise, because hopefully the Marvels will be good, but I haven't really heard much about the Marvels since I've seen the trailer of it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It looks more like it's more of a Miss Marvel TV special, if I'm honest. And it makes sense considering that she's the only likable character, I guess. Monica Rambeau, she's, in my opinion, not that interesting. And I just keep thinking back to that stupid, they'll never know what you sacrificed for line in WandaVision, just being just so stupid.
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel herself, she's, again, I had expectations for her when she was first introduced.
Yeah.
Her first movie ended up not living up to that. And also it didn't help that the actress herself became very antagonistic after a while. So much so that they had to literally bring in new people to have her share the limelight in her sequel.
Yeah, I mean...
So I can't say I'm excited for the Marvels, but it might surprise me.
Have you heard anything about Captain America: New World Order?
We know that Sam Wilson will be Captain America. We know that a lot of characters from the Incredible Hulk will be returning,
Okay.
like Betty Ross and the leader. He's going to be a villain because he hasn't been seen since the Hulk.
Is he not going to be in the Thunderbolts?
I don't know if he is, but we do know that General Ross will be,
Yeah.
and he's being played by Harrison Ford.
Huh.
So, which is a change.
Yeah, I guess also they really needed to do a recast, but it's going to be interesting seeing how. Oh yeah, they have the whole thing about Scar from She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Brought in what's it called, all of our favorite characters, and then gave them the worst possible haircuts.
Yeah,
I mean, what did they do to my boy? My boy. No, I'm really looking forward to Blade, and I haven't really heard much about the Thunderbolts or New World Order, so I'm excited to hear what they come out with in terms of those, because the characters that they can use are going to be really interesting, and seeing whether they follow almost the Ant-Man 3 sort of theme of, like, these characters have been doing X, Y, Z for like the last 5, 6. Wait, actually, how far ahead are we since the last Avengers film? Because
that was 2019. So,
but in terms of timeline, because
you mean in universe?
Yeah, in universe, because we have the.
If we're talking in universe, Guardians 3 takes place in 2025.
2025.
And that's like the present timeline. So I imagine that a lot of, at least these next few properties, will probably be set within the same year.
Because I know that Wakanda Forever took place 6 years after the blip.
In that case, that's the continuity era, because the blip. Well, the blip. Wait. The events of Endgame happened in 2023, but in fairness, the blip happened in 2018. So 6.
Timey-wimeys. The timey-wimeys aren't also called lining up properly.
Yeah, so you're right. It was so Black Panther 2 was like 2013 as well. No, not 2013, 2023. Same year that Endgame happened in.
Okay. Well, no, it would have been because
6 years passes from 2018 to 2023. I'm struggling to though. Did they establish the date in Black Panther 2?
No, they just said that it was 5 years after everybody returned. No, it's a year after everyone returned from the blip.
Oh, okay. So it's 2024 then.
Yeah.
So it's still within the similar time area, timeline. But yeah, timelines aside,
we can't get into the timey-wimeys.
Yeah, with I'm hopeful for New World Order because I loved the original Captain America trilogy.
Yeah.
And despite being disappointed with Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think they have potential to do a really interesting story, especially because there is a rumor going around that the film could, in some form, introduce some concepts that will become very important to the X-Men lore.
Oh yeah. Seeing as with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness brought in the idea of the X-Men, and what's it called, the Marvels brought in, Miss Marvel, this TV show, brought in the idea that, or actually it used the word mutants for I think the first time, which is hopefully it's gonna be what I'm excited to have, like, mutants back in the MCU. And seeing those properties like combine and collide again is going to be interesting, but at the same time it has such a risk of going down the Fox property routes of it, because like Deadpool, great, love it, also called, it's what we need and what we like. Oh, I got a creaky chair. Break up the WD-40. But yeah, we have a lot of the Deadpool movies which we love, and we have the third Deadpool movie which is coming out, and it's going to be probably really good. It has huge jacked man and also called Ryan of the Reynolds. How are we going to go wrong? Like, if he's not what's it called too busy like trying to run Wrexham Football Club, like I think we're gonna be good. Yeah, we're gonna be fine with that movie coming out. Yeah, and what shows are coming out though? Because we have some really good shows that are supposed to be coming out too.
Yeah, we've got Secret Invasion coming out this year, and then we'll have Echo as well, and Loki later, season 2 of Loki. And after, in terms of the rest of Phase 5, we've got Ironheart and Agatha, Covenant of Chaos, and Daredevil Born Again. I'm very indifferent on these shows. I think the only one I'm somewhat interested in is Daredevil, just because I love the Netflix show so much.
Yeah.
And maybe Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion looks good from the trailer so far.
It's promising. I'm glad that they're giving Nick Fury the limelight at last.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be needed. And I think that it's going to be a really good show just because of how it's going to explore the characters and explain some of the stuff that's been happening like between the blip almost and like just afterwards. And it gives us also got an explanation of the not necessarily the street level, but it's a balance between the street level and the like cosmic entities that we see. And that's what the shows tend to do pretty well. Like it will give you a look at the street view with like Hawkeye or She-Hulk, and then with like Loki is going to give you like, okay, yeah, it's multiverse, but then street level multiverse, if that makes sense. And Daredevil I'm hopeful for, but at the same time, yeah, we love Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Yeah,
he's the Daredevil that we want and like. But
let's hope the writing is up par, because you've got 3 seasons of a stellar show. If they fuck up at all, there's no excuse. It's just because you're a bad writer.
Yeah, because they had the Defenders.
The Defenders.
That was a Netflix show. Because the individual Netflix shows were pretty good.
Except for Iron Fist, but the majority of them.
Okay. Most of the what's it called Netflix shows were pretty good. We don't talk about Iron Fist. No, some people had to enjoy Iron Fist. We're just not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Daredevil was really good, and I enjoyed Daredevil. And if seeing Daredevil in She-Hulk was always seeing him in that was quality, and I enjoyed his appearance in it, but in the end it wasn't about him. It was supposed to be about She-Hulk, and we had the cool moments that we wanted to see him like do the big fight up against people who all had crossbows for some reason, because that makes sense. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to see that raw street level of he's not going to blast someone with like magic or timey-wimeys or nanobots. He's just going to punch people until they're unconscious and maybe hit them with a big red stick. And that's what it gets back to, like, just using echolocation and like beating people with a stick. We like that.
There's something cool about a character who doesn't have superpowers. He's just the peak of his condition with the power.
Peak physical human condition, just going around, like, is actually vulnerable. Okay, he has like pretty cool armor that like stops him from taking the bullet damage as much. Yeah. But
he has to rely on his senses. He's not power, his senses.
Yeah.
And that's impressive in so many ways. And to do the right thing, to be the one to enact justice when you can't, as by the law standpoints. That's what, again, it's 3 seasons. Such a great show. I'd highly recommend watching that over She-Hulk, because that was not a lawyer show.
Yeah. I don't know what She-Hulk wanted to be, but I don't think it was any of what it was trying to be.
Mm-mm.
Like, yeah, it was just a weird show. But have you heard anything about Echo?
Not much. The only thing I know about it is that it's a spin-off of Hawkeye. So that character from Hawkeye called Echo, she's going to be the star. Apparently, I heard I don't know if this is a rumor still or if it's been confirmed, but from what we've heard, Daredevil and the Kingpin are going to be in the show in some capacity.
Bringing back the street level heroes again.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not sure what it would be about. I think the only context we have potential storyline wise is that in the comics, Echo and Daredevil have a bit of a romance, so maybe there's some story element that they might tap into. And also with the Kingpin, I think it's like accepted that by this point he's not dead, because you wouldn't bring him back in Hawkeye just to kill him off screen and not show him being killed. Considering again, you've just brought him back into the big phase of Marvel. He's back. He's going to be in that, and they're going to explain where he got shot, how he survived. Likely,
yeah. It's just his muscles are so thick that he just deflects bullets, and I eat good pasture and deflect bullets.
I ate a bowl of nails for breakfast, so without any milk.
Ironheart. Ironheart. I haven't really heard much about that either. What's it called other than like the little bits from. Black Panther 2.
Yeah, again, the character didn't really intrigue me in Black Panther, but what has intrigued me is the villain, because it's been confirmed by set photos that the Hood is going to be in the show. And for context, the Hood's a very supernatural Marvel villain. I know him mostly from the House of M storyline, where there was a story where it followed him and his team in the House of M universe, basically fighting the heroes. And he had this core power where he was like, I think he was possessed by a demon or something. That's all, as from memory, at least that's based on what I can remember. But essentially, if you're having a tech hero go up against a magic hero, it's either going to be uniquely awesome or stupidly ridiculously bad.
Let me do the maths. Oh wait, the math doesn't work because magic's. It's like, yes, let me shoot a gun, but oh no, there's 7 different portals that go to the frog realm, or like upside down universe, because upside down place is the Rick and Morty of this timeline.
I guess it really depends if he's even is the villain, the main villain. True. At least.
There's a lot of stuff that we keep seeing, but whether it gets rewritten or rewritten again or again and again, we don't know what's going to come out. But we know what's coming out. Whether it's as good as we hope it will be is another story.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see how the multiverse is going to tie into, if the multiverse will tie into any of these other stories.
I mean, I feel like the multiverse has to tie into it to an extent, especially considering like with the last Spider-Man film, they've definitely said that this multiverse is going to be a continuous thing that's going to be involved. And although it's not directly connected, it's involved the Sony franchises of like to an extent, with the Vulture going into the multiverse in Morbius. God, can't escape him, can you?
No.
But it's going to be interesting to see what characters come through that way and come across, because it's the Marvel that we know, but it's going to be a new generation of the Marvel that we know.
Yeah. I was going to jump forward to Secret Wars, but I think we should normally do the other ones first.
Yeah.
So, in terms of Phase 6, there are other installments set, like Shang-Chi 2 and Spider-Man 4, but they haven't got release dates set as of this recording. That could change by the time this episode goes up.
Hopefully Spider-Man 4 actually happens and doesn't follow the curse of the other Spider-Man.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But for Phase 6, we've got Fantastic Four and the next 2 Avengers films, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. And for currently unknown release dates, we've also got Deadpool 3 and Armor Wars.
Yeah.
For Deadpool, I think we mentioned already, I'm excited purely because it's going to be Hugh Jackman, huge man.
Huge Jackman! Woo!
Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds teaming up, and we've wanted that since forever.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that it's going to be
a slightly more filled out X-Men mansion.
Yeah, I'm convinced that will somewhat conclude the Fox universe, acknowledge its from. I feel like it's definitely gonna stay in its canon from the earlier Deadpool movies, but they will be crossing over into the MCU because you're not going to make a movie with those two and then recast those actors.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think you could.
You'll have to with Wolverine, but I don't think they can do that with Deadpool.
Yeah, with Wolverine going forward, I feel like they're not really going to make a X-Men movie with. Well, at least they're not going to make a Fox X-Men movie, just because Logan was great, and that put an end to their character. They had the darker, also called aesthetic that a lot of us wanted, and it felt gritty. We wanted that. We needed that. Also called from the shows and TV and the movies that we wanted to watch, and it felt like a solid end to the characters. But that, and I don't know how long he can keep getting that ripped just to shout at people and like that must do a number on your body, though, right?
Very much so.
We all want to get that jacked at one point, but God, doing that again and again at that age must be killer.
Likely, but yeah, this will. I like to think that Deadpool 3 and maybe an appearance in Secret Wars will be on the cards for Hugh Jackman, and then after that they'll likely recast him with another actor as a variant, maybe, or the Prime MCU incarnation. With Deadpool, I feel like he's got a few more years left in him.
Oh yeah,
because he's so good as Ryan Reynolds, and
plus they can just keep him in a CGI suit and also put someone else doing it, and he can just voice it. Like they get a tall enough guy, also stick him in a muscle suit, and then occasionally have him pull off the face every once in a while. I think they'll be good.
Maybe.
Like he doesn't have to do the full performance. Like, yep, I'm gonna get shirtless, also and yell at people while having all of the veins pop out.
Yeah, and Fantastic Four. That's again, I don't know. I don't think it will be the case, but I really hope we keep John Krasinski.
Yeah, he was a good casting, and especially considering he came from a fan casting, and the whole idea for the suit that he was wearing came from just a bunch of fans getting together and making slight iterations on an idea that we had. And it's oh, that actually looks really cool. He would be a good casting for that. But seeing whether they do actually anything decent with it, because they'd still have to cast Johnny Storm. It would be a nice support to cast Chris Evans and have him reprise the role again, just to annoy people. It's you're back. I'm yes. Why? I don't know.
They had a lot of money.
It's money. Flame on. He's burning the money. Yes, directly. But seeing who they can cast as Susan Storm and Johnny Storm would be really interesting, because there are so many good characters that, good actors and actresses that they can cast for the roles, and
it's still up in the air at this point. Again, we might know by the time this episode's up, but as of now, I'm just hopeful that they can make it a good movie, and a good movie that's different from the previous iterations, because Fan Four Stick was the
actors themselves decent, but I just don't think the story went anywhere. I think they were trying to create.
They were trying to be Chris Nolan.
Yeah, they were trying to create their own new universe, and I don't think it just wasn't going to go anywhere with that one. But they tried something.
And they failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, they tried.
You have to give them that. Also, they wanted to be fan-forced, but they kind of fan-forced it. Yeah. I'll be here all week. No. It's the same stories that we've been getting for years, but we need to see great story. Some of the best stories come out and be made into really, really good films, and that's hard to do nowadays because you have to fit in every little bit that you have to get through, and then trying to work it into the present audience that you have. And it's not even just the present audience that you have, it's the future audience that you're going to have, because they're making a film today that's supposed to be seen by people in like 2 years. Like it's gonna be hard to like get that correct tone and be in with it.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. I mean, I'm still holding out hope that it will be a period piece because that's been the rumor for years, ever since even before Fan Stick, I believe. Because those characters originated in the 60s,
Yeah,
and all the other ones have been contemporary settings. So it would be drastically different to differentiate itself compared to those ones, and it would be quite nice to see the MCU in a different time period.
that is true.
Because Captain Marvel tried that, and they didn't really. It wasn't really that interesting, honestly. But to have it be in the 60s, because again, Captain America, the first Captain America was set in the Second World War, and that was a great story. The way everything. So again, we don't need to talk about that. We know that movie. We know how good it is.
Yeah.
And I hope we get more of those.
Do you think they would be able to do it by using the multiverse and then having it set in a different, or at least maybe they can use the John Krasinski Fantastic Four universe?
I feel like that universe is not going to be touched upon until at least maybe the Avengers movies. But Fantastic Four, I think they've got to set it up in its own individual universe because the one from Doctor Strange was clearly much more older. They mentioned he has a family, so they're not going to do that off the bat with this new movie, which I imagine would want to be like the start of at least a trilogy, maybe some more films. So I imagine they're going to cast. They could still keep John Krasinski and just say, "Oh, he's like 30."
Yeah.
I mean, I think he is 30, isn't he?
He's older than that, isn't he?
Or maybe 50 or something, because he looks quite handsome for his age, whatever age he is. But yeah, I feel like they need the characters themselves to at least be like 30s ish, and I think at the end of the day, what we're going to get is we're going to get a movie that will hopefully be a cool family adventure movie about becoming superheroes.
Yeah.
And then it's going to end with them either being trapped in the negative zone, because this is a part of the rumor, well, not rumor, this is part of the fan theory concept that's been around since the 60s setting was conceived by fans, that it will be primarily set in the 60s, but then through the shenanigans of the plot or the ending, or maybe even a post-credit scene, the family will be sent forward in time, or they'll be sent into the negative zone, and they'll be stuck there for a long period of time. Sort of like how Ant-Man was in the Quantum Realm after Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he ended up in Endgame.
Yeah.
Some people think a similar thing will happen. Well, they'll jump from the end of Fantastic Four and then go straight into Kang Dynasty.
Okay.
And that could be like the lead-in, and that's how they get introduced to the new world.
I feel like that can work. Do you feel like they could do something similar to Spider-Man in terms of not necessarily going over the origin story again and just kind of skipping into, they've been the Fantastic Four for a little bit now?
I feel like they might do something similar, but I feel like they have to touch on it because...
Or like what, do the whole, it's been a year since what's it called, these people came in and it's like blah 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 blah.
I can see them doing that where they already have their powers, then maybe they've already settled into them, but they acknowledge that, oh, we're not heroes yet. We're still trying to figure out our lives, considering the setting, the era we're in, considering how the world is reacting. Because again, I imagine superheroes weren't exactly all around during the 60s, as far as we know for the MCU.
I mean, so yeah, they were definitely kept on the like secretive end of things, especially with like, because they do mention it in Falcon that there were heroes, also called, and they did exist, also called, around the time, but a lot of them were kept under wraps, or a lot of them also called kept as like sort of black opsy, also called, like, or scrubbed underneath the worktops of. Like, we're not going to talk about that because that would give us kind of like, you don't mention those guys who they're going to have their own issues. But I feel like they definitely could, and yeah, even also could if they use the whole people snuck in from the Spider-Man universe as an excuse. I feel like they can definitely get in a couple of people in there with the idea of like incursions messing up the multiverse. Just seeing them actually do it well is going to be the big hope, because there's a lot of fan casts that are going around, and they've been pretty good. Like, getting really good quality fan interaction is what we have to see more often, because we're the ones who are watching it at the end of the day.
Yeah, they don't earn their money without us.
Mm.
And yeah, and after that is just the last two Avengers movies, and
Do you think also could there'll be the whole idea of the Marvel, well, the fatigue from having two Avengers films, like one after the other, like
if
only a year apart?
honestly, they did a similar thing with Endgame and Infinity War, because those
Mm.
were released like each in like a year apart. So it's not like it won't work, but I do feel like the MCU has struggled lately with leading up to the multiverse because,
Mm.
again, in my opinion, I feel like Doctor Strange 2 was the big event film that should have blown the wall wide open with the
Mm.
multiverse stuff. I think we should have gotten a Civil War esque movie where Doctor Strange teams up with other variants and
Mm.
does a cool story there. I feel like, what was it, Ant Man and the Wasp, that should have introduced Kang, and he actually should have been the villain and shown his chops, and should have actually not died, survived,
Mm.
and gone on to escape and leave Ant Man and his heroes and his allies trapped, because that would have heightened the stakes a lot more.
But I guess also cool with the Ant Man movie, at least the third Ant Man movie, he did say that he's like not the worst version of him. That like he had goals, and also called he set them out, so like you can tell he's supposedly not the worst version of them, and he's not gonna be the end all. He's just gonna like go around and prune the timelines that I say prune, like he's not what's it called completely eradicating like trillions of people from existence, but when you see the large scale of someone else is going to prune like trillions of people from existence, like it's kind of still messed up no matter how you go from it.
Yeah, but again, I feel like it would be a lot more powerful if they introduced Kang early on in Ant Man, and he was the Kang who we will see again in
Hmm.
the Avengers movies. Because they might have introduced there's a better one out than me out there.
Yeah,
Doesn't change the fact that that's a completely different you.
I mean,
So
do you
the
think also called
expectations kind of.
the Kang that we saw in the end credits of Ant Man is the same one that appeared in Loki?
I think they're different. I feel like that's another variant, and
Hmm.
that we'll probably see him in Loki maybe. I mean, I hope he's the villain, because considering how they teased it at the end of season
Hmm.
one. But again, I've also heard rumors that that show might do another flip again, and they'll make Sylvie like the center of it all. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just want to see Kang and Loki fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally just feel like Kang Dynasty has a lot riding on it, just not just because of real life drama, which we're not going to get into
Hmm.
regarding the actor, but also just the build up is not as strong as, in my opinion, as it was with Thanos.
Yeah,
So, and
definitely.
also considering this is only 2 years away.
Like from what we've seen of Kang, he doesn't seem like that strong. Almost like although he was able to obliterate timelines, wasn't able to beat an Ant Man.
Yeah,
Like it got taken out by a bunch of ants. Like okay, they had like a couple thousand years to prepare because like the tiny wimies got like time dilation was weird, but still, it's I don't know. I feel like it is going to be. It has to be a good movie. It has to be a good movie. Otherwise, they're gonna just burn so much money.
yeah. I mean,
But it's 2025. Well, they have enough time to like hopefully make it the movie that we want it to be.
yeah, and best case scenario, they might even delay it, and that gives them more time to work and iron out the story that will be more satisfying. It will give us confidence that, okay, you're taking this seriously. You're not just chucking this out there because you have
Mm.
deadlines and all this
Yeah.
other stuff.
Plus,
You want to tell a good story.
plus, what's it called? Like fitting two main stage Marvel movies into 1 year. Like that, they don't necessarily need to do that. Like the idea of fitting so many Marvel movies into 1 year, and it kind of seems like they're stretching themselves a bit thin.
Yeah, add on the TV shows too. It's
like a Marvel movie every year. Literally, it's literally going to be every year for the till 2026, and what's it called? How many shows that they're going to try and stick in until 2026?
We've got 4 shows currently. I mean, like 4 shows, 5 shows. Sorry, 5 shows. Well, 4 shows in development. 1 is on the way with Secret Invasion. But yeah, it's. I mean, I'm sure there's more. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of content Marvel has. But I agree, it would be best in their best interest to
space it out a little bit more. But I guess they have the issue of like actors coming out or what's called being in controversies and also called everything else in between. But yeah, hopefully they try and squeeze as much out of it, but it is a risk them kind of just pumping so much out in such little time.
Yeah, and also I think it doesn't help that the storylines they're choosing to adapt. I mean, I will stand by Secret Wars. I grew up reading the original comic storyline of that. Love it. Seeing all the heroes interact and fight each other on Battle World and have to figure out and see Spider-Man get the black suit for the first time.
Yeah,
that's a storyline that I really hope we see in Secret Wars, the adaptation. But again, I'm struggling to think if that's going to be good because of what's been set up so far that, in my opinion, hasn't lived up to what's promised.
I mean, we have the Venom symbiote as being in the MCU now because it's also called the whole crossover with Venom. So whether I don't know actually whether they use Eddie Brock's as what's it called Venom, or
I'm convinced that's going to play a factor. I feel like if we get Spider-Man 4 before the Avengers films, I imagine that will be a simple. It will go the route of it will be him fighting some criminal in New York, maybe teaming up with Daredevil, but more likely just fighting a villain like the Scorpion, maybe.
I mean, they did tease what's it called Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, but he's getting his own movie in the Sony universe, so I don't imagine they'd. I don't think they'd do 2 versions of that so close to each other. Because I imagine because that comes out next year, I believe, and I imagine Spider-Man would be out within the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, and they don't want to be repetitive with themselves.
Sure, they can squeeze in another one.
Yeah, but I imagine we'll get Spider-Man 4. Maybe that will be its own thing, sort of like how Guardians 3 was, and we know he's going to be in the Avengers films as well. He'll then take part in the Avengers movies. Maybe he'll lead the team.
Yeah.
And in Secret Invasion, he will get the black suit. And then from Spider-Man 5 onwards, they can adapt the black suit storyline, which I God hope they do because I love that storyline so much, and I want to see it in live action done right.
Seeing him become like extra edgy. As long as we don't get like the finger clicks and like the point and shoots, I think we'll be okay. Like we need some of that like slapstickish, like super dumb comedy that we've not had. I think, I think if they also could put a couple references into the OG, it's like, how did you deal with that? It's like, I produce my own webs now.
I'm confident we're going to get Secret Invasion if they can do it right. I'm confident we're going to get every actor who's been in a Marvel film or superhero movie that they can get their rights on, their hands on. We're going to get them in that movie at some point.
Do you think they'll do the whole like CGI face thing of like? That's a big thing that's happened, especially with like the new advent of like a lot of the CGI technology that's come out. We can just basically Grand Moff Tarkin them and just like stick in some of the characters that have been replaced, or like we can put someone's face onto another person's face, and it's scary, but at the same time, it's cool to see what's it called these people there.
I feel like we might for those few. I can't think of any big Marvel actors that could warrant that kind of thing because a lot of the actors are still around, and those few that aren't around, they wouldn't really need a presence in the movie, in my opinion.
I mean, well, other than Captain America, also called, who's been ageified too.
Yeah, I imagine we'll get a variant of him,
True.
and Chris Evans can come back as his normal young man look.
Yeah, if he actually wants to. Well, actually, no. With the millions of dollars they'd be paying him, he'd be back.
Yeah,
He likes money.
yeah. I'm just curious to see if we'll see Iron Man.
True.
Because it's been rumored for years that he might be in this movie as a cameo. He might be in Black Widow as a cameo.
Do you think we'd ever get an Arno Stark as? Do you remember when they were first teasing Multiverse of Madness? We thought that we were going to get a superior Iron Man.
Yeah,
and they were going to use Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. They should have done that.
They still can.
They still could, but I imagine what they're going to do is that if they choose to delve back into that storyline, which would, in my perspective, maybe make it a bit better, they might reveal in secret in either Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars that Tom Cruise or maybe even Robert Downey Jr. is playing Superior Iron Man from that universe where the Illuminati were, and that could carry over where you killed my teammates. I have reason to kill you now, and that could be a form of the character coming back, but it's not the Tony Stark we know, so it's different enough.
It's never going to be the Tony Stark that we know anymore.
Yeah, because they could easily just bring in a new variant and say, "Oh, I'm just a Tony Stark who's just like the old one, except I didn't die." So it's like that would be nice. It would be nice to see him again and maybe find out what he's been doing during that period of time. At the same time, I imagine the audience would probably be like, "I'm open to seeing Iron Man be the bad guy," and what better way to do it than get superior Iron Man? And if you want to differentiate it enough, get Tom Cruise. Get the guy who is not good. He's only going to do one movie, but he can make it stand out. I mean, that's the cards I'd be dealting if I had the options. I'm just more curious to see if we'll see Nick Cage as Ghost Rider in it.
Nick Cage as Ghost Rider? I don't know, because they...
because they've established Ghost Rider in the MCU in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And they could easily bring him in. In terms of like...
Robbie Reyes, right?
Yeah. In terms of like just like big surprise cameos, I imagine they could do it just to say. I mean,
but Nick Cage back again.
Yeah, I mean he's come back for a lot of stuff recently, so I think they could do it.
Yeah,
and the interest is there.
He's making a resurgence. Like he's going to be in Dead by Daylight. Like so. I don't know. Nick Cage is a weird actor though. Like
but you can't deny that he's an interesting take on the Ghost Rider character. Yeah, and he has his fans.
We all love not the bees. No, we all love Nick Cage, but like he's just like a whole. He is a world unto himself. Like
maybe they need that.
He's the Nick Cage universe.
And really, I guess at the end of the day, I'm just curious to see how they can adapt it and how they will bleed it on with the rest of the stories going forward. Because after Secret Wars, we can expect the X-Men likely. We might get more stuff with other heroes, maybe with new ones.
Do you feel like there'll be an end to the Marvel cinematic universe?
I think there definitely will be a point where it will stop. Whether that's because they decide to end it on a high note or because the stories keep going down like they currently are now, minus Guardians 3. And they just don't have the resources to continue making more, so they end on whatever one they can afford to make at the last point. It really depends, I guess, on how it's just handled going forward. Because this, theoretically, if you asked me 10 years ago, would Marvel keep going? I think, I can imagine this series going for 50 years. Because, again, people probably thought Doctor Who couldn't run for 50 years. Look at that. That's now approaching its 60th anniversary.
But in fairness, also Doctor Who didn't run straight for 50 years.
True. That is true.
It did have also got some extenuated hiatuses.
Yeah. They could do a similar thing here where they could take a break. They had to take a break for 2020, but they could theoretically say, after Secret Wars, we're going to take a 5-year break, and then we're going to come back with maybe something else that we have in mind, but we don't want to shove it all out there at the moment.
Yeah, and I feel like they definitely could take, and I don't think they will just because they like money.
Yeah.
But there's definitely room to take a short break and come back after, maybe even in just a year without something Marvel related. Okay, just a year without a main stage Marvel movie would be nice, because there's other stories that can be told. Like, there are so many stories that can be told and that need to be told, and we're getting a lot of the same stuff, like, revamped almost. Like, we have 100, especially from Disney. We're getting a lot of stuff that's just like, hey, you want the Little Mermaid? We got you. We got a new version coming out. You want Sleeping Beauty? We'll probably have that one too. Like, that. Oh no, wait, they already did that one. Yeah, they're just revamping the same old stuff. I just want new stories, and
Yeah,
all
me
this stuff
too.
feels samey.
If you're gonna redo stuff, tell it in a unique and interesting way that justifies its existence.
Do you think a live action What If would work?
I think it could work as a one-off special. They could do a TV movie,
Yeah,
sort of like
I
how
mean,
they did Werewolf by Night.
yeah. Did you like Werewolf by Night?
I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like, if, because I know that they're going to do a second season of the What If series, because there's definitely stories that weren't told, especially with they had that one
Episode
episode with
Iron
like
Man
Iron
and
Man
Gamora.
and Gamora, yeah. Um,
Yeah, and we know they've teased some stuff with Shang-Chi and Scarlet Witch for season 2 and Captain Carter. So there's a lot of stories they could tell, and I do believe they didn't announce that a third season was in the works. So there's still plenty of stories they want to tell.
I mean, if they do, I feel like it would be really nice if they did it in a similar way to how Star Wars has done Visions. That would be a cool way to look at it, just because I really enjoyed Visions, just because it gave a lot of people a different way to tell stories with it, with the property and the IP. And it's a what if, like, it makes sense. It doesn't need to make sense. It just makes sense. Like, it's what if. Like, then I really want a Marvel Zombies for like a Halloween special.
Yeah, we are getting that Marvel Zombies series. So
Really?
yeah, I think they announced that last year, but they're working on a TV show that will be a spin-off of the episode they did in What If. So I don't know if that's going to be a similar animation style or if they might try something different. But we know that Marvel Zombies is on the cards, so you got that to look forward to.
Yeah, we could definitely do with like a what if, and an X kills the Marvel universe.
Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Deadpool's done what's it called, like, killing the Marvel universe. They've done a couple other people who've killed the Marvel universe, and it's like,
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they somewhat adapt that in Deadpool 3, where Deadpool's actions end up killing the Fox universe, and that's why he ends up going to the MCU. It's like, shit, I kind of destroyed my universe. Could I crash here for a bit?
yeah, just absolutely wrecks everything. It's like, someone dip. Needs to just, yeah, they definitely really could do that, and I would like to see, yeah, just more absolute character killing that hasn't really got any real backbone behind it. Like, okay, you killed off a character, but they'll be back because what's the quad? This isn't our universe. I just want to see the random what ifs that come out of the new phases, because they have so much potential, and yeah, it's just potential on top of potential. But if they can keep the writers, as they can also keep good writers, and if they can get new good writers, then we're in for a good show to come up.
Yeah, I hope I want to say I'm hopeful because after Guardians, I am feeling optimistically content. But I won't deny that the last few installments in Phase 4 really didn't sell me, and the shows have been up and down too. And again, what's coming up, I'm not too excited in terms of the Marvels, and the few ones that I am curious about, they could end up turning out bad based off the rumors, based off the reports, and everything I've heard in between. But I can't deny that a part of me is hopeful, and that's a bit I'm going to latch onto because you can't have. I'm just trying to think of a good quote there to include hope, but yeah,
Nothing Star Wars related. We've had too many of those.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I'll be hopeful because that's being human, I guess.
Yeah, you have to look forward to the new bits that are coming out, and yeah, just hope and pray that they have something good in mind, because there's so much great source material that they can use that so many people have written, so many people love.
And so many people have put such dedication in their life's work into those stories. It would be criminal not to try and tackle it in the films.
Oh yeah, like you, they're not like struggling for source material. They have like what 60 years worth of philosophical qualities.
I'm sure it's like 70 or over 100 at this point.
Well, that's over 100, but like they have. Considering how many actually, yeah, you might be technically with the number of writers you have years. It's the same way that you have people. You don't have enough time to watch all of YouTube because there's so many people making YouTube videos. There are so many people writing and what's called making comics that you don't have time to read all of the comics, and you can create so many branching stories from it, just from these even short one-offs. Like the number of characters that have come from one-offs and that like other shows and series has been crazy. Like we have even Harley Quinn. Like I know she's also got a DC property, but like she's a good example of characters that came from like just outside one-off series and then now mainstay characters that people love, and we need more of that. I want new characters. But actually, we don't really need new characters. We have a lot of those already. Yeah, just new stories. We need new stories.
And hope they're well written.
Yeah, well written new stories for a new age.
Let's hope for the best, at least. I mean, again, it could be completely wrong, and we'll be disowning Marvel next time again. But let's keep hope.
Worst case, we can be grumpy and be very English and complain about it.
Yeah,
that's not what we wanted. Not the Marvel I grew up with.
And at the end of the day, if we British are nothing else but truthful when it comes to stating our frustrations.
Complain like it's just great British values to complain about things.